Welcome, everybody, to episode 220 of The China Show.
You know what that means? It's a shout out to the 220 area code, which apparently is South Central Ohio.
Oh, interesting.
So shout out to you guys out there in the plains and the great cornfields of Ohio.
Wonderful. Anyway, we've got quite a show for you today, and we've got a lot to cover, so let's just saunter right into it with what's new. This is where we talk about what's new specifically with regards to China. Now, this is something that we would normally not do, but we thought we'd have a little break for a while. You know, have you ever been in the supermarket and you're going to check out and you see these stupid magazines and they're always like, I don't know, Prince Charles's zombie brother awakens in a cave or something, you know, or it's some...
Yeah, like alien boy rides bat
that's
to
something.
Meet dinosaurs on the fake moon landing.
So anyway, basically a tabloid, like gossip rags,
Yes.
okay? China has the equivalent online of these gossip rags, okay? So we thought we'd share you a story, which appears to be a legitimate story, but it's that kind of thing.
But here's the deal with the gossip rags in China.
Yeah.
And they've existed forever.
Sure.
Right? But they're just not in publication form.
Yes.
They're in video form.
Yeah.
And this one looks to be quite old, but every video in China looks to be quite old because it's always bad quality.
You cannot, something that comes out today from China, you look at the footage, you're like, this must be
Yes.
10 years old. It's just the way everything's compressed to hell and back.
Yes.
Okay.
But
What?
it's in video form instead
Yes.
of like magazine form. And what they'll do is they'll cut pieces of B-roll footage, like so other footage, to make it look like that was the scene.
Yeah, to
from,
make it
like,
more interesting.
Hundreds of other
Yeah,
videos.
yeah.
So that's the equivalent.
So the gist of this is, we'll just play it in the background, okay? You see there's an IE, as we say, which is an auntie, a middle-aged woman.
Yeah.
And she's very tearful and everything.
So we're just gonna give you a quick blow by blow here.
Because it's a puffer fish.
Yeah, that was the joke.
Okay,
Thanks
so
for ruining it.
So now-
happy 4th of July, by the way.
oh, big time.
Yesterday to
Yeah,
everyone. All day
belated happy 4th of
Yes,
July.
and happy Canada Day that was on July 1st.
Oh,
Just a few days apart. Anyway,
Why?
back into this. Well, because it's not the same holiday, is it? Because they didn't fight for their independence that America fought for. They're two different countries.
No,
they fought for their independence
I get
in
that.
a different day.
okay. Why did they have to copy American? We got to do it in July too. You know,
Canada's gonna get so much.
they're like July. Yeah,
furious.
they got 4th of July. Let's make ours first, so we can, for once, we could be first.
You know what you can do, guys?
Just
All you
kidding.
Canadians in the comments,
Yeah.
write down why in the comments, and we'll be educated,
Yeah,
right?
I have no clue. I'm just talking
we're
nonsense.
just joking. Okay.
Anyway, so the story goes that
Just play it.
this
It's
middle-aged woman stole a pufferfish from the wet market, okay, and then cooked a soup, all right,
Yes.
using the pufferfish.
See how they use like a billion different
Yeah, different
clips?
things. And then fed it to her grandson, who then died of poison because you shouldn't be eating that.
Yeah.
And now the thing that's all salacious about this is that she's now suing the place that she stole the pufferfish from. Because
This is the story.
Because, yeah.
This is at least what the post is explaining.
Yes, this is what this video in the background is explaining.
Yeah.
So this is your gossip rag nonsense. Whether it's real or not, I mean, it's probably real.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
It's probably
It could
real.
happen. Here's why I'm skeptical.
Why?
I have been fishing a few times in China, right?
Yeah.
In the ocean.
Yes.
And I have seen what they pull up. They pull up everything. The way they fish in China is wild. They will literally just dredge
Yeah,
stuff.
every single thing.
And you will see jellyfish like this size and all kinds of weird animals that will just die on the beach or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is when people are line fishing, like shore fishing, they'll pull out pufferfish, and every single time without fail, that I saw someone pull up a pufferfish, a fisherman, they threw it back. Every single time because
Yeah.
as poison. Right?
Exactly.
I'm talking about fishermen that are taking your catch and then going to cook it. So anything's a profit,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, we're seeing enough footage here of them playing around with them. So maybe someone just was using it as like a toy.
Maybe.
Oh, you put this in there?
Yeah, that's later.
Okay. So maybe if someone was just playing around with it, kept it in the basket or kept it at the wet market, and so she stole it.
No, so my counter to this of how I'm not skeptical, because I'm an unskeptic myself.
Okay.
I have seen them for sale in Chinese wet markets.
And absolutely, there'll be sale for TCM and stuff like
Yes.
that. There'll be some traditional Chinese medicine use.
And another thing, because I love animals and fish and things like this, not all pufferfish are venomous. This is a wide misconception. In fact, most of them are not.
Sure.
Right? Anyway.
So that's the weird gossip story. So she stole a pufferfish, made a soup, Family members died. Now she's trying to sue the people she stole the pufferfish from.
And again, we are not presenting this particular story as news.
No, this is just a fun little...
This is just
Well, I say fun. It's not really fun. This is just an interesting look into the gossip rag type stuff that goes around in China.
That's a cute little guy.
Yeah, it is. It looks very cute.
They're very personable, but if you keep them in the aquarium hobby, they're incredibly intelligent. They
really?
bond with their owner. Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow. Anyway, let's move on to the beautiful, wonderful, I don't know how to explain this, just incredible way that the Chinese traffic police enforce the law.
Yes.
Because they're like, they don't like motorcycles, okay? They ban them in most cities.
This is not a traffic police.
No.
That is a beautiful
Yes,
pufferfish.
but we'll show you. So in order to stop people riding motorcycles, this is what they normally do. Things like this. Let's take a look.
No, the reason
He's okay.
Yeah, the reason I blanked it out is just to play it safe, but he's fine. Well,
He's fine.
I mean, he could have hurt himself, but he
Sure.
got up.
He gets up and he starts shouting at the police
Pause
officer.
it there real quick.
I'll go back.
I want to tell you the story that accompanies this.
Yes.
Well, let's play it again.
I'll play it again.
So in China, a lot of places, motorcycles are banned. In this particular case, this is not the case.
This is Hunan.
Motorcycles are not banned in this
They're not
place.
banned in the city, yeah.
What this is the man's not wearing a helmet.
Oh, the man's not wearing a helmet.
The traffic cop is pushing him off of a ledge
Yes.
on his motorcycle because he's not wearing a helmet and he won't stop for the ticket. He's like, you don't want to be safe? I'll make you less safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Shoves him down a cliff.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So there's that. And this is, by the way, not an out of the ordinary occurrence.
No.
Why don't you
They'll
explain
throw
what they
traffic
usually do? Yeah,
cones.
there you go.
You know, they'll quickly take like those fences, you know, those little metal
Yes.
fence partitions and like throw it into the road. All sorts of things. And we had to run across these people a lot. And it was very frustrating because we were 100% legit when we rode through China. Our bikes were registered,
We had
insured,
insurance,
we
everything.
wore full gear, all
We
that
had
kind of stuff.
licenses.
Yep. Driver's licenses, everything. But in certain towns, they don't tell you which towns, by the way.
No.
But they
You
just
can't even look it up.
Yeah, they just decide to ban motorcycles. But the worst thing is you'll drive into this town and other people will be riding motorcycles. So you don't even know that
Nope.
you're not supposed to because it looks normal. Everyone else is
I'll
riding.
one up you.
Yeah.
You'll ask someone on a motorcycle and they don't know.
No, they don't. So you get, like, it happened to us during conquering southern China. We get to like a traffic light and we're just there and the cop runs and grabs our keys out the ignition
And
and
you're
like
in the police station.
yeah,
drinking
dragging
tea.
us to the side of the road, and it's like, come on, like, you know. And they're like, well, you're not supposed to drive a motorcycle in this city. Well, what about
How am I
these
supposed? I'm trying to pass
thousands of
through.
others?
Yeah.
You know,
You're like, they'll say that in that conversation while you're sipping tea, and you'll look out the window as hundreds, if not thousands,
Yes.
of motorcycles have driven past while having this conversation.
correct.
Looking for a bribe, obviously.
Oh yeah. Anyway, let's move on. See, another guy just went past on his bike, but he had a helmet.
He had a
on.
helmet though.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was. This is interesting.
Yes.
This is one of those things. I wanted to come up with an analogy before this, but we didn't have enough time. You know when you want to say or do something, but you don't want to be guilty for it, right? You don't want to be the guy that did it, but you want to get that sentiment out there.
Sure.
Well, let's have a look at this because this is an incredibly insensitive and horrible post.
Yes.
That is from, let me see here, an official account, the Chinese police official account.
Yeah, the official online account of the Chinese police.
What does it say?
Well, tell us, where is your main fleet? Monkey, I am the main fleet. This is within regards to the Philippines, by the way. Because remember, there's that whole spat. So this is a post basically calling Filipinos monkeys. That's the whole point of this, right? And it's shared by the official Chinese police account.
So remember what I said, like they don't want to be the one to post it. So what do they say? The police account, the official checkmark police account in China.
Yeah, this is their
the
official
government,
one. Yeah.
CCP, right? Says, what kind of pictures do people submit every day? If you don't understand this, join the discussion and tell us what you think it is. You
Yes,
see what I mean?
yes.
It's like we
then
didn't share
and then
this.
they posted it. It's like posting an incredibly racist thing that you want, because if you want to be racist, you post.
If you're racist,
so you're posting and say like, I don't know about this. Like, what do you guys think about? What do you
this
think about this?
Very,
very racist thing, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just the Chinese government for you, you know.
Just unbelievable.
They can't hide it, can they?
Oh no! Oh no!
Okay. Now, love this clip. This is
This is
so.
you? Does this know you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Take a look. When riding a motorcycle, this guy's in a car, but when riding a motorcycle in China, you'll understand how deadly it is sometimes. This has happened to us so many times, close calls. But look, you're riding along, and then someone decides to do a U-turn in front of you without looking. Okay, now I'm pretty sure everyone out there can recognize that the guy doing the U-turn is at fault.
Yes.
Okay?
And you'll see this a lot in China.
Yeah, but they don't care. Because when you're in a car, somehow you become an invincible being in China, and everyone else is lower than you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So he does this, and then the guy like screams to a halt, and he like hoots at him. And the guy inside starts swearing at him, right? My favorite part is this.
I want to look at him again.
Yeah.
The cloud over his face. Guys.
Yes.
I want to look at him because I know what look he's doing.
Yeah, he's
pissed off.
Absolutely.
Because he's like, how dare you beep at me and make me lose face, right?
Yes.
As if I'm doing something wrong.
He's just U-turning over a double yellow line, by the way.
Yes. But so he's staring them down like, yeah. And you know exactly he's like some sort of thuggish type dude that wants to look hard.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't look in the right direction.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, it shows he's got such a lack of awareness to, first of all, do a U-turn like that. How is he suddenly going to know what's in front of him?
No.
He's just got no awareness, situational awareness.
Run into this a lot. China.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. So the retribution here is that in China, those with the money win.
Yes.
Right? And those with nice cars will win because they have local connections. This guy was trying to be hard and
in his
down
Toyota
this girl.
Crown or whatever, and he's just driven into a BMW.
Something like an older car, right?
Yeah.
Crashes into a newish BMW. Let me just tell you, that BMW is gonna win.
Yes, he's got more money. You're just messed up.
That's how China
You
works.
just messed up, boy. Anyway, just thought that'd be a fun little thing to share with you.
There's a soundbite that should go with that. Oh yeah, the no you.
Oh, you mean?
'Cause that's what he was doing, man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He was well, Ren even the Yang as
Yes.
he was staring, and then
Correct.
he got no you'd
So anyway, guys.
in his Japanese car.
Yes. By the way, we got a really funny Slopaganda segment coming up
do.
for you and behind the Great Firewall. But you wanted to talk about this.
I wanted to posit a question to us all.
Yes.
Put on your thinking caps. I would like you to ponder this because this is very deep brain. You got to think really hard about this. China is now trying to attract foreign tourists like
Yes.
crazy because COVID has absolutely destroyed their tourism industry because people saw what happened during COVID, locking people up for 100 days, people starving in their apartments, people having to line up for forced tests in the snow, 10
Their
feet of
pets
snow.
being beaten to death.
Pets beaten. I mean, it was like
It was a crazy
it was a crazy time,
Yeah.
right? And so as a foreigner, a non-Chinese, you're going to look at that and be like, well, that happened arbitrarily. It happened to a lot of foreign tourists and people that were in China at the time. They just got locked
Remember
in.
when they forced people to get like anus swabs or whatever?
Yes.
For COVID?
And like, so like my friend, for example, had to escape with his wife and everything. It was this horrible, crazy, tumultuous time.
Yes.
So people like are now looking at China and be like, maybe I wouldn't go there. Maybe that's not on my top list.
Also, they destroyed their economy.
Yes.
Like their tourist economy was destroyed.
Yeah.
No one could go to China.
Couldn't
They
go
actually
anywhere.
didn't allow foreigners in for the longest time.
In fact, if you find any foreigners that were allowed in that time period, they're probably
Guaranteed they're working for the state.
States.
Yeah, guaranteed.
For propaganda.
Yeah, we know.
It's easy to tell, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you are from one of these countries now, they've made it very easy. You can get this like 72-hour or 144-hour visa. So it's a few days, right? Where you can go to China. You don't have to get a visa. Now, China is one of those countries where everyone used to need to get a visa.
Everyone, yeah.
Right, especially for any sort of trip. So you get like a visa, and you have to send in your passport, get approved, and all this stuff, and then you go to China.
Go to the consulate, do all this stuff. Yeah.
Have all this like proof of this and that, whatever, right?
Yep.
But now they've relaxed that because they really want people in there. They want people shooting videos of the pristine cities,
Yeah,
city
exactly,
centers
yeah.
and everything. For all this, it's wild.
They
how
want
many
travel
videos there are.
couples from the UK.
They want travel couples from the UK. Let me
Yes.
let me tell you, we figured that out real quick.
Yes, yes,
That
they
is
certainly
like
do.
a genre.
I wonder how much.
China's not what I expected.
Yes.
China's safe.
I wonder how much money they spent on all the plane tickets just to bring them over.
I know.
A lot.
This is the real Xinjiang.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
the
so-
whole point is they've opened up like visa free, which means you get a visa on arrival
days.
for a few days for a whole bunch of countries.
I want
But
to read them
go for it.
because I want people to use big brain to figure out what's missing.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Albania, Argentina, Australia, Austria, Belarus, Belgium, Bosnia. If you're from any of these countries, let us know in the chat or in the comments. Brazil, Brunei, Bulgaria, Canada, Chile, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Mexico, Monaco, Montenegro, the Netherlands, New Zealand, North Macedonia, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Qatar, the Republic of Korea, Romania, Russia, Serbia, Singapore, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, and the United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom, and the United States. So I've listed a huge chunk of countries.
Yeah.
Why don't you just play the next slide here?
Sure, I will.
I need a what about.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to play some whataboutism. I'm just very curious. Why? Where is Iran, Cuba, North Korea?
Especially since those are China's allies, actual allies.
Yes. So you'd think that an adversarial nation like the U.S. probably shouldn't be getting a visa-free on arrival, right? But
I've noticed that it's mostly developed countries and European countries that have.
That?
But like, where are the African countries?
Who's going to spend more money?
It's not even just about money. I guess they just don't trust anyone from the developing world.
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. Iran, Cuba, and North Korea really tickles my curiosity, though, because these are countries that are joined at the hip, right?
Yeah.
Iran, Korea, and Cuba. North Koreans are not allowed to go without a visa, but South Koreans are.
Yeah, that's a little
Almost
bit of
an adversarial state.
Isn't that a kick in the pants?
Kind of, isn't it?
Wasn't China going to go kill all the South Koreans and stuff during the big meat grinder Korean War?
Yeah.
But
Where's
they're
the
allowed in, but
partnership?
not their allies that they went to help.
What happened to the deep friendship? What about Cuba, another communist ally?
Yeah, very
Come on,
strange.
guys.
Very
I
strange.
just thought that was very ironic.
Absolutely.
It's so easy
Well,
to
I
see
mean,
through this.
here's the thing. China's always going on about these great partnerships between Africa and China. I'm an African, I have an African nationality, and they hate Africans in China. They hate us so much. They would constantly come and harass us.
Yeah.
Just because I've got an African passport. And it was a stupid thing because I am South African, so I'm in the system as being African. So they would come to my apartment in the middle of the night very often. It's not just like once a year or something. Quite often, there'd be like this new task force, and they're like, we better check up on the foreigners. They'd come and check me. They'd like storm into my place and see that I'm white, and they'd be like very confused because they were expecting me to be a black African. They're like, but it says you're African. I'm like, yes, I'm South African.
just
And then
never
they were
learned
like,
that
okay,
there's
check
white
my
people
papers.
there.
And and then they're off. But all the Africans get heavily scrutinized, and they don't get visa free or anything. It's very tough for us to get visas in China. It's kind of crazy. Just shows you their real motivations, doesn't it?
It does. They want people to spend money, and they don't trust non-developed countries.
Yes. No, they hate
So
the developing
simple.
world.
It's
They
like
just
these
they
are-
just want to abuse the developing world.
These are all their perceived enemies that
Yes.
was just read off, right?
Yep. Well, guys, before we get into the Slopaganda segment, which is great,
Yes.
it's
Great.
we have a quick word. So, what's our word?
Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. In fact, look at the menu for this week. It looks delicious. Absolutely
Succulent.
fantastic. For example, we have a nice dish coming up here. By the way, they changed and have rotating menus, which is really, really cool.
And it's always good. It's,
always
you can
amazing.
tell a proper chef has put this together.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. They're ready in 2 minutes. They're never frozen.
Yep.
Right? This is all amazing food. I, for example, would love to try this. What's this?
Smoky Gouda. Did you say Gouda?
We say Gouda, but I know you guys say Gouda.
Yeah, smoky Gouda chicken.
And I would say smoky Gouda chicken with roasted red potatoes and Parmesan green beans. Looks absolutely delicious.
Oh yeah, I'd
love
eat
to
that.
try
I'd eat that right now.
I'd eat that right now. I'd eat a lot of these things.
Oh,
They
yeah.
got smoothies, they got shakes, they got all this kind of stuff on top of this,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well-balanced food, right?
Absolutely.
Head to factormeals.com/ADV50 and use the code ADV50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code ADV50 at factormeals.com/ADV50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. So, I think it's time for us to move on to propaganda or slopaganda.
Propaganda.
Slopaganda, okay.
Or is it Beyond the Great Firewall?
Let's see
Who
what's.
knows?
Oh, it's Beyond the Great Firewall first.
It's always
this
a
time
mixed
around.
bag.
Okay,
You
it's
never
a mixed
know.
bag. Okay, so we'll hit Beyond the Great Firewall. Let's do it.
Yes.
So this is where we talk about what China's hiding behind the Great Firewall.
Yes, because they blocked the internet, right? So today on Behind the Great Firewall, I was doing some research.
Yeah.
And I was doing some research into some stuff. But I don't want
And
to tease it too much.
What did you get a hold of?
I found a slew and horde, I might even say,
Yeah.
of deep fakes of people not from China who don't speak Chinese saying propaganda or very aggressive nationalist sentiments. Now, I've blanked them out because I think it's incredibly unfair what the Chinese government / these users have done to these people. So I've censored them.
Yeah, remember we covered this where they took a Ukrainian girl
Yes.
and pretended that she was Russian
Right.
to like make the Russia-China relations better.
Yes, or
and she
sell
was like,
Russian items.
so she was like, I love China and I think Chinese men are handsome and all that
Yeah, that kind of
nonsense,
stuff,
right?
yeah.
And they were using her face and she was Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Huge insult.
Yeah.
They're doing the same now, but they're taking what looked to be motivational speakers, like Tim Robbins type people.
Also, like professors.
Yeah, professors and
like
stuff.
educated, like intellectual people, right?
Yeah. So,
And they're doing
yeah.
it with people that are racially non-Asian.
Yeah.
Because then it's filling that white monkey role of like, well, other people in other countries are saying Chinese propaganda, so that means we're not crazy, right?
Yeah.
They're affirming what the Chinese government's telling us.
Yeah.
So this is what they do is they'll take let's just say some random white gym dude that
Yeah.
like makes motivational
Yeah, like a-
speeches.
like a
I don't
Tim
know who
Robbins
this guy
type guy.
is. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what they'll do is they'll use a deepfake technology to put them on like a kind of a movement thing, so it looks like they're really speaking. And then what they'll do is they'll overlay a real speech that's actually been made.
Yes.
And then match it to their or another person's voice.
It's very easy to do with today's
Yes.
technology.
But the reason this is interesting is the crux of this thing is not for you as a Chinese user to say, oh, this is some AI video. There's usually something in the video that says like, I'm sorry, my Chinese isn't very good,
Yeah.
but I just want to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And it's this air of like deception on top of it. And so I was reading through the comments and a lot of these are completely buying and believing
Of
this.
course, it looks very real.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
there's
should we play one?
Some dude, yeah, we can translate one here.
Okay, I'll get us out of here because we did put subtitles.
This year I heard the best international joke. A
A
Japanese netizen posted a question on the internet. See, there's some white guy up there.
Yeah, and
he's not saying this.
you've blurred this out, but I saw it unblurred and it looks very realistic.
Yes,
It's only when
yeah.
you look very close you
Sure.
can see it's been manipulated. But at a glance on your phone, you would think this is a real guy saying this.
The reason I blurted it out is I don't think it's fair to this guy.
No, because
right?
he's
That-
definitely not doing this.
No, this is a deep fake on the Chinese internet. It's
Yeah.
going all over the place.
So let's see.
It says a Japanese netizen posted a question on the internet. If China is invaded by Japan again, will the Chinese stay? I meant to say, will Chinese stay? Like, will they leave and fight for their motherland? I saw this question and I couldn't help but laugh. I immediately retorted, although China was a vassal state in those years, but in Japan, it's a nightmare. I'll say it out loud. If Japan dares to invade China again, Japan, an island nation, will be sunk to the bottom of the sea. So this poor dude, whoever he is,
And he's like, oh, my Mandarin isn't that good.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
yeah,
it's-
play that. Sorry, he
it's-
says my Mandarin isn't that good, which is fluent. But
Yeah.
Chinese friends, please follow this account. It's fluent because it's literally
It's
an
a Chinese
AI
person,
voice,
yeah.
like model.
So what they've done is they've taken a motivational speaker who's probably saying like 3 hacks to brainwash
Who
yourself
knows?
into success.
Who knows?
And he's like doing this, but then they just changed what his mouth says and put this rubbish
There's-
about, Japan will sink into the sea.
You might be accurate, but at the same time, it could be something completely unrelated. This could be like an AI model of movement and everything.
Yeah, well, you can see that like in general the body's correct. When I was
Sure.
looking closely earlier, it was just the mouth.
Yeah, it looks
Was
like the
changed,
face, but it's
yeah.
very realistic.
Very realistic. That's why you have to look close. But they've manipulated this guy because there is no white dude like this saying this kind of stuff in fluent
Chinese.
Mandarin.
Yeah, saying Japan will be sunk to the bottom of the
Yeah,
sea.
exactly. And I had a laugh. And all of you patriotic Chinese people follow me, or 亲爱的中国朋友,
Yeah.
my lovely Chinese friends, follow this account. This is a cheap way for them to build an account
Yes.
by being disingenuous
And
and
it's also
lying.
spreading propaganda.
Yeah.
There's another one I just want to share.
亲爱的中国朋友们，
Again, 朋友们. Again, it's the same thing. This is such a load of rubbish.
Yes.
Because, again, it's just for people that are nationalist and they hate Japan and all that kind of stuff. And then now that you've got these friendly foreigners also hating on Japan on behalf of China, it's a lie and it's rubbish, but it just fuels this xenophobic stuff we were talking about last time. Anyway, let's see what he says.
If China attacks America,
美，我愿意将
I want to donate to China.
我的家当捐给中国。如果中国要
If China wants to attack little Japan, 小日子.
Yeah.
It's like an offensive way to call Japan.
Ridiculous, yeah. They always have to try to belittle Japan by calling it little.
Yeah,
But
it's always been a
the
thing.
fact that this tiny archipelago owned the entire, destroyed China is probably why they're so...
I was talking to this
You know what I'm
Chinese old
saying?
dude, this Lost Generation dude one time.
Yeah.
And all he wanted to do was talk about how he was so happy that America bombed Japan. He actually knew about that part
Yeah,
of history,
yeah,
which was interesting.
Yeah.
Usually it's just, we defeated Japan by itself. But he just would go on. He's like, he just thought it was preposterous. He's like, isn't Japan's just so little? It's just
so
so
tiny.
so little and small. It's so insignificant over and over again. I'm like, who cares?
Maybe
bro?
someone should teach him that saying that dynamite comes in small packages.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
I wouldn't mess with Japan. They
Nope.
hurt America pretty bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it says if China wants to attack little Japan,
大小日子，我也愿意奉献
I also agree to dedicate my life.
This is like a fake white professor-looking dude,
Yes.
by the way.
Yeah.
自己的生命，此生不会如
I will never. So this is the funny part.
Yes,
It
yes.
says, I will never regret entering life as a Chinese and leaving as a Chinese. This is a current popular nationalist
They,
phrase.
so they
to utter.
screwed up.
Yes. Because they're making kids say this in school, Chinese
Yes.
kids, right?
Yeah.
You basically say, I'm proud to be Chinese.
Yes.
Right? But they made him say it, this like white guy, and he's not
Yeah.
Chinese.
No,
The
he's
whole
not Chinese,
crux
yeah.
of the video is that he's not Chinese.
Yeah, but
he
they
still
screwed up
supports
because
China.
it's like, I will never regret entering this life as a Chinese and leaving this life as a Chinese. Well, dude, you're going to have to regret it because you didn't do either.
Yeah, and
you
you're
know?
not real.
Yeah, exactly.
华夏，来世愿做中国人。
Then it says, as a Russian,
Yes.
see the whole crux of the video is he's Russian.
So now he's Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a Russian, I love China. Okay.
私人的我非常喜欢和热爱中国，希望能够得到你的关
I
注
hope you get to follow. Go ahead.
和认同。
I hope you
谢
get
谢
to
你
follow.
亲爱
Thank you, my Chinese friends.
But he uses the exact same
Yeah.
wording.
Yes.
Did you see that? 亲爱的中国朋友.
Yeah.
爱的中国朋友。
So-
It's funny. So the whole point of this is that they're hiding behind the Great Firewall with this stuff because this stuff isn't going to fly on like the other internet. Like you can't do that to someone, right? Unless it's parody, and it's not parody. So something needs to be done about that. Like when we brought awareness to that that YouTuber, the Ukrainian YouTuber Olga.
Yeah.
I think some action was being taken, and I hope other people that find it. Because, by the way, this is a drop in the bucket.
Oh, yeah, there
there's
are
tens
thousands
of
and
thousands
thousands.
of these accounts and videos.
Yeah.
This is pretty wild, and it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's awful because they could take anyone's
Yeah.
image and voice and, just put it out there
Yes.
saying nonsense propaganda.
And if
So,
you're thinking
speaking-
these, stop.
Yeah, speaking of nonsense propaganda, our Slopaganda segment this day is something.
This day.
This day is something I found, and I don't know what it is with Chinese state media,
Oh, he's on a
but they
jab.
choose the stupidest topics. They're like,
Yes.
we're gonna put this out there because foreigners are gonna care about this.
Yes.
Let's take a look. We'll just watch the whole. Let's watch the whole thing, and then we'll go back.
Okay.
And
Good idea.
Yeah, we'll watch it uninterrupted first. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's take a look. Slopaganda.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Potside Chats where we talk about all things China.
I'm Stephanie. This is Nathan, your host for today.
The topic for this episode is the CPC's new educational campaign for 2024 on CPC discipline. And to help us navigate this topic, we have a first-time guest, China Daily colleague and member of the Communist Party USA, Dylan. Thank you for joining us.
Gulag, Stalin, death, starvation.
The current disciplines are right here in this handy little booklet. It's not too hefty in terms of what regulations could be. And there are 6 categories of
I don't know them.
disciplines. Well, pop quiz for Dylan then.
Proletariat.
Can you name all 6 discipline categories to which party members currently held?
Running for comrade proletariat.
It is.
Jealous of successful people, Che Guevara comrade.
Can you name all 6
Seize the means of production, eat vegan buffet as masses starve, grifter's paradise. I couldn't help it.
Good segue.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. So,
Oh my gosh, my favorite thing about this, okay? My favorite thing about this
Yes.
is the crux of this video
Yes.
is that the Chinese government, who made this, by the way,
Yes.
China Daily. China's one of the biggest Chinese mouthpieces.
Yes,
for the propaganda
China Daily
department.
is like top, right?
One of the crux of this video is that you, as an English speaker, watching this video right now, watching us right now,
Yeah.
are going to care about the CPC's.
Yeah, wait for it.
Is CPC.
CPC's new educational campaign for 2024. But not only that part. Which part of their educational
new
campaign?
educational campaign for 2024 on CP.
But the CPC's educational campaign for 2024 on CPC discipline.
Why
It's-
in the
it's-
world?
It's like an internal bullshit regulation thing for.
Who cares about that?
I can't stand it.
So it's the it's how to teach basically CCP, Communist Party members, how to be disciplined within the CPC.
It's a disciplining. It's like their regulations to discipline themselves within their own party.
Yes.
Why would anyone anywhere in the world care about this?
No one would.
But by the way, this is a big. It's like 10.5-minute, 11-minute long video.
It shows you how tone deaf the propaganda department is when they put things out like this. Because someone said you have to get this out in English media. So they sit down with these hosts. And by the way, I'm starting to feel bad for both Nathan and the Stephanie.
Yeah.
When they have to do these, because they clearly, I mean, when I watch this, in my opinion, they don't care about this, and they don't even know about it.
If they do care about this,
then I'm
they're
worried.
morons. I mean,
Yes.
imagine caring about that. Imagine getting this little book with a hammer and sickle on it, with in Chinese, with a list of rules for the disciplinary nonsense for inside the CPC, and actually caring about it.
Imagine being asked to have to do this.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, he goes, I don't know about this. It's
Yeah,
just like, he plays it really much. It's like, well, pop quiz
Yeah,
for this other
exactly.
communist dude.
Yep.
And
I mean, I can't think of a less likable person to bring on than a Communist Party member of the USA's Communist Party.
I'm sorry.
Who's a colleague of
Yeah,
theirs.
that's what I was
at
going
the
to say.
frickin-
You work at China Daily, and the cherry on top, the whipped cream, and then you cherry on top. You are a Communist Party member of the USA.
Yeah, the USA Communist Party, member of that.
I love his quotes that
they're so
you've
good.
so eloquently parodied. My favorite thing about this is the voiceover you did for him when you put this joke video together. Is you made him British.
Is it? I thought it was a bit more weird, like mix of Australian or something.
Maybe. Okay, you made him Australian.
The the audience can. How about a poll? Does he sound British or Australian?
Okay.
Let's put it up. Let's put a poll. I'll play it for you again. Pay attention to the words he says, because they're very important, because this is what communist people say.
to help us navigate this topic, we have a first-time guest, China Daily colleague and member of the Communist Party USA, Dylan. Thank you for joining us.
Gulag, Stalin, death, starvation.
I love the cheers you put in there.
The current disciplines
It's important.
are right here in this handy little booklet.
That booklet is shocking that exists in the hands of a foreigner. Like, why are you making foreigners talk about this booklet?
I know. I feel like there's a lot of unawareness going on here.
Yes.
Because, she's got a lot of different colored nail polish and stuff.
Yeah.
But slowly but surely, she's going to realize that the book she's holding doesn't allow for her way of expressing herself.
Yeah, because it's the discipline, right?
She's
not a CPC member.
No, we're going through more of the stuff which involves these two hosts, and she's got a bunch of tattoos, but she's not allowed to show them online or on camera. So
That's what we can assume.
Absolutely, it's against the rules.
Yeah.
So she has to cover them with these like horrible big like sticker makeup type things. We'll show you next time. But it just shows you like you're self-censoring yourself and your own self-expression working for this media.
We saw some of the other state media people like males had to take out their earrings or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yes, I remember that.
Some little dude.
Yeah, the little leprechaun dude. Yeah, it's hilarious. Anyway, it's just look at this.
He sounds more Australian, 57%.
I thought so.
Yeah, that's
It's
good. I
kind of
didn't
a
mean to
weird
have an argument about
I don't even know what it was, but it's just. The thing is, okay, look at her. She's like, it's already here in this handy little booklet.
No one knows about this. No one knows about what's in this book.
No one cares.
I don't even think the Communist Party of America dude knows what's in this book.
No, it's probably blank pages. And they just
He actually didn't finish it yet.
Yeah.
It's not too hefty in terms of what regulations could be. And there are 6 categories of
I don't know them.
disciplines. Well,
Hey, at least Nate's honest.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm
I
starting to
don't know
like
them.
him. I'm starting to like him.
He's just, I don't know
I
them.
don't know them. He's like, why am I here?
Yeah, exactly.
Screw this.
Exactly.
Quiz for Dylan then.
Proletariat.
Can
played
you
that well.
name
Yeah. Yeah, you can see
Like,
she
push it
doesn't
onto
care.
him.
Yeah,
He's a communist.
yeah, they're like, "Psh, okay, commie boy,
do
yeah,
it,
you do
bro."
it. Yeah, exactly. This is your shtick, you know?
Play a CPPCC.
Oh, yeah, I'll get you a
There's been a lot of
CPPCC.
C's.
Yeah.
CPPCC.
CPPCC. Ah, yes, the good old CPPCC. Gotta love it. Anyway, let's hear what he has to say again.
all 6 discipline categories to which party members are currently held?
Running for comrade proletariat.
It is.
Jealous of successful people, Che Guevara comrade.
Can you name all 6
Seize the means of production, eat vegan buffet as masses starve, grifter's paradise.
I just love the cheer at the
Yeah, I mean, that's what they... I presume that's what Chinese state media is expecting.
Yes.
We're going to tell them about these new disciplinary measures within the CPC, and everyone of the CCP, everyone's going to go like, yes, finally, what we've been waiting for.
This is what we waited for.
Yes. Oh, it's ridiculous. So anyway, I thought I'd just share with you the performance of that video, which was released last week. 4 days ago, 220 views, and the only comment says cringe.
So they spent all this money,
Yeah.
or time,
Got this
scripting
communist
this video
member.
for these
Yeah.
3 colleagues
Yeah.
in China Daily, and no one watched.
Nope. Nope.
Now a lot of people have watched.
I mean,
Thank
it's...
you. You're welcome.
Yeah,
China Daily.
It's so stupid. China, why do you think people care about this stuff?
Well, keep it up. 'cause I
Yeah,
love
please.
watching
Yeah,
this
we
stuff. It's
love
very
it. Yeah,
funny.
there's more which we'll be showing you, next time for
Yes.
sure. All right. Anyway, let's continue on with the show. Sorry. Woo. So I guess it's time for another word before we hit soft power hour.
Absolutely.
So all of you guys know that we really enjoy AG1. We think
Yes.
it's fantastic. It's been a great boon to our health.
Absolutely. AG1's been a huge part of our daily routine. In fact, we drink it every single day. It takes seconds to take a scoop of AG1, stir it around in a glass. You've already met your nutritional goals for the entire
Correct.
day. All the vitamins and minerals that you need. It's really important too, because like there's so much stuff out there and you don't know what to trust. But with AG1, everything is medically backed research. That's why we trust that we can personally attest to when we drink it, we feel better.
Correct.
Otherwise, we wouldn't endorse a product that we don't personally
we would never
use.
endorse anything that we don't personally really use or think is good.
AG1 is constantly putting their formula to the test. It is backed by multiple research studies and trusted by experts and medical professionals, giving you one less thing to research. Also, nutrition starts in the gut. Your digestion is incredibly important. I know my body, and if my gut isn't functioning optimally, it'll be more challenging to absorb nutrients from my healthy diet. So that's fantastic too. Nutritional covering your nutritional basis starts in the gut. In a research study, AG1 was shown to double the amount of healthy bacteria in the gut. If there's one product I trust to support my whole body health, it's AG1, and that's why I partnered with them for so long. It's easy and satisfying to start your journey with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/ADV. That's drinkag1.com/ADV. Check it out.
Excellent. Now back to the show. Thank you once again to AG1. Let's move on to Soft Power Hour, which is our main segment of the show where we talk about how China is trying to change your mind or some other shenanigans that they get up to. And, well, we all remember the rocket, right?
Rocket Man.
Yeah, exactly. Falling down to Earth to poison the villagers.
Yes.
Anyway.
It like rolls off
Yeah.
the tongue.
What I'm showing you now is something that happened a long time ago. This isn't the one we showed the previous week. This is from a few months ago. All right, but it's very similar.
It's relevant because it
Yes.
wouldn't happen. Oh,
This happens a lot.
yeah. It does.
That's the point of showing this older one. This is from last week.
Yes.
Okay,
I can't believe there's been a sequel since then.
it happens a lot.
I know, but since then.
Oh yes,
It was a week ago.
and this again is from months ago. This is when you can see the toxic fumes on a person's house.
Yeah.
There's debris in their little fields where they, plant their crops. There's a piece of the booster or whatever there. Now there's another thing that's just happened. Okay. Remember, everyone, that China is trying to compete with America for basically taking payloads up into space. Okay? Because if they can undercut the USA, then any country around the world or any scientific organization that wants to send up a satellite or send anything into space, they'll pay China to do it rather than the USA. So they're developing a knockoff.
That's the idea.
Yeah. So basically, they have a knockoff of the SpaceX. We're all familiar with the Falcon 9, I believe it is. You know, it goes up and it can land again. So they're trying to
make a competition to do it cheap.
Yeah, but they've knocked it off.
Yeah.
They have their own copy of it. It's nothing new. But now they're testing the copy, and it's supposed to be a static test. So they kind of strapped it down to a scaffolding and lit the fuse to test the engines. But they used made in China scaffolding, rubbish Tofu Dreg scaffolding, which just broke and it flew up into the air. It wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, so it was basically, imagine a rocket sitting here like this.
Yes.
It's supposed to go.
Yeah, and not
and
move
then
anywhere.
done.
Yes.
And then you go, okay, it's done.
Yeah, and you've tested the burn.
This one went.
Yeah. Now, luckily for them, it got damaged leaving the launch pad.
Yes.
And so it prevented it from going further. They're trying to say, oh no, we shut it down with some automatic. No, they didn't shut anything down. The thing got damaged, and that's why it fell back to Earth.
Yes.
And the reason why it's so important is this is right in the middle of urban centers.
Yes.
Everywhere around this test site
High-rises.
are towns and cities.
Yeah.
Within 2 kilometers. Really close.
This is right near Zhengzhou, which, I mean, let me just pull up the population here.
Yeah.
I just want you to know how close this is.
Yeah.
Zhengzhou population, 10.35 million.
Yes. So can you imagine doing a dangerous test like this right next to population centers? China's a big place.
It's
they don't
like
need to do
doing
that.
this right outside of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, send it up. And everyone's like, what's going on?
Yeah, so we'll show you some footage here because so you see, it wasn't supposed to take off, and that's why it's flat on the top because it doesn't have a payload.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be just to test the the booster engines and stuff on the ground.
Tofu Dreg bolting down of
Yes.
this rocket that wasn't supposed to go
Nope.
up.
What goes up must come down.
Chabudo, as we say. Chabudo is even better of an explanation.
Yes.
Good enough. Wasn't good enough.
No. I mean, look at the
there's
size.
high-rises
Okay, you can
there.
see the buildings are right there, okay? But it becomes more apparent when you see people filming it from their balconies.
Yeah.
Like this person is filming from a balcony, right?
Yeah. It looks like a war.
Yeah. But look how close it is to these buildings.
Doesn't that remind you of Ukraine war footage? Like
yeah,
when
it's like
Russia
the
bombs
Russians
the
sending
cities
in,
or whatever?
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
This is not these aren't little shacks in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
These
and
are
I mean-
thousands of people.
In the audio, you can hear glass shattering. When the
Yeah.
shockwave hits, you can hear glass shattering, and
Yeah.
it was close enough to destroy people's windows and stuff. So it's pretty crazy and very irresponsible that they would do this so close to population centers.
Crazy World Creative Passion says, I'm not a rocket scientist, but that's definitely not supposed to happen.
No, no, it's not. And apparently the people in China building these rockets aren't rocket scientists either because they can't even get this basic safety stuff right.
Apparently not.
Yeah. So,
I heard it was another YouTuber, I can't remember his name, some space-related YouTuber. He said something like, well, the rocket scientists are incredibly important, but so are the bolt-down scientists.
yes, yeah, the scaffold scientists.
Don't try to cut corners.
Yeah.
That one.
Exactly. Just to, again, prove how close it is to population, here's a little, looks like a little factory yard or something, not that far off, right? And they're just like, hey, what is this,
Yeah.
And the video cuts just as the shockwave hits.
Yeah.
But
It's
you
crazy,
can see that it hits, though. I slowed it down right at the end because, look, they're like, oh, what's
You can
going
start
on?
to see it envelop the background.
Well, yeah, you can see, and then you can see, look how the trash and the dust suddenly lifts. And that's all behind walls and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a huge shockwave that hit this little construction yard. So people's homes were damaged and stuff around there. But if it hadn't come down crashing almost immediately because it hit the scaffolding and damaged itself, it could have flown into the middle of a population center.
Yeah.
It just shows you how irresponsible China is when it comes to this kind of thing. They don't care about the people.
Again, I always use this as an analogy, but it's so true to life, like how things are in China. I was in the car with a CCP official, and he was ripping through the countryside, and there were villagers basically jumping out of the way. right?
Yeah.
Like he was almost running them over. He was trying to show off and explain to the people in the car that it's cheaper and not even worth my time. If I run one of these people over, I could just pay off their family. It's not worth my time.
Yeah.
And that's how the government sees poor people in China. They'd rather hide them. They don't exist. They say, oh, poverty doesn't exist anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
Those people in the countryside, if they get hit by a rocket, it's not worth the millions we had to put into actually calculating where it would go.
Exactly.
If we blow people up, it's not like they can talk about it. It's not like they
true.
can protest.
Yeah.
It's not like they can post something online.
Very true.
They sneak out footage here and there, but that's about it. They don't have to worry about fallback
No, they don't.
or fallout.
Fallout, yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, just shows you how irresponsible they are. Now, we've got another thing that's just happened this past week as well. Let's get to it, which is this.
Yes.
Remember, we covered not that long ago, actually.
I know, these are like sequels to each other.
Yeah, we had another big subway collapse in Chengdu, right?
Yes.
What was that, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Not that long ago.
No.
So a massive big subway collapse sinkhole. Now this is Xi'an, 500 miles away from Chengdu. So just to show you, it's not like one little area or one region that you're getting sinkholes.
Yeah, this is 500
It's
miles.
just poor construction practices around the entire country that causes this.
They were building a new metro station,
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah, exactly. And, they made a mistake and all this water gushed out and this massive sinkhole appears.
Wild sinkhole appears.
Yeah. And, I mean, when you just look at this,
This just keeps happening.
yeah, you can see how dangerous it is and how it just undermines the entire ground there.
Yeah.
And it's next to buildings, which is very scary because now the foundations of those buildings have obviously been affected and the whole stability of that entire area is messed up now. You know? So here's some drone footage of it. You can see the road continuing to collapse.
The Earth eats China. Have you noticed this?
Yeah. I'm curious as to how much it's spread because we only have this early footage of it, right? And then they cordoned the whole area off and it's like, oh, it's out of the news now. But you can see it continues to collapse. So I'm curious as to how far it actually got. How big did that hole even get? Look how close it is to those residential buildings. You see the trees falling in there and stuff? All those buildings would have to be evacuated and who knows what's happening there. Did they collapse too later? Who knows? It's kind of hard to say. But yeah, look at how bad it is. That's an entire side of the highway there, completely gone. So, yeah, it happened at night and they're saying there are no casualties, but even if there were casualties, they wouldn't let you know. You know,
True.
that's the unfortunate thing.
That's true.
Yeah, here you can see probably earlier in the day. You can see it all collapsing in on itself. So, let's take a look. You can do it. Oh, there goes a railing falling in there. This stuff's getting swallowed as well, so I mean, if there were motorbikes or cars or anything in there, you know, if they're small enough, you probably wouldn't see them.
True.
Just look how everything's just being swallowed up.
It's true.
Yeah. So, yeah. Bad construction. Tofu dregs attack suddenly in China. You never really know where it's going to hit because Xi'an is a massive city. It used to be the capital of China. All right? It's an important city.
Yeah.
It's got the 700-year-old wall around it. You know, you've been there. I've been there. That's where the terracotta warriors are, for those of you who don't know. And, of course, this in Chengdu, another massive city, very important city. So it's not like some backwards areas that this happens in.
Nope.
Happens in the big cities. So, you know, the kind of places you'll be visiting if you're a tourist.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing you're going to want to go see the terracotta warriors. Well, imagine you go there and you're driving in a bus or a taxi on the roads of Xi'an and you get swallowed up in a sinkhole. It can happen. It can happen. Not saying it will, but, you know, it can happen. Now, moving on. Do you want to tell everyone what's going on here?
Just play this. It goes for a long time.
Okay.
So back in COVID, they started building thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of these metal capsules. And what they were for was to lock people up.
Yeah, basically little prisons.
Yeah, little prisons to lock people up. And they were bragging about it. They're like, look how quickly we can build these little quarantine prisons.
Yeah, remember we covered it extensively when it was happening here on the show.
Yes. And they built so many of these. We watched this happening. We're like, how is anyone in the world cheering this on? Number one, to lock people away is ridiculous.
Yes.
Number two, to build cities, like actual cities of these things.
Down the roads, like that one on the side there.
Down the roads, out of this world, everywhere, right?
Yes, yes.
How? In the Lord's name is this okay in terms of resource management and emissions and everything that China's supposed to care about?
Yeah.
these things will absolutely go to sheer waste, right? And this is what happens in China. The government says, this is why top-down government's bad.
Yeah.
Is that the government says, do this thing, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we have all these subsidies to do this thing. We're going to make a ton of money. And they build all these shoddy capsules, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands
Yeah,
of these
whole
things.
cities of these
Cities
things.
things. And then people don't ask, like, what's going to happen to these when this is all over?
Yeah.
Right? Because not all of them were used. If, like,
Dude,
you can't put a percentage on it, but I mean, probably
I'm sure-
1-2% of these things
Yeah,
were
I'm
used.
pretty sure the majority were not used.
No, they just built them because they got contracts to do
Because
such.
remember, the day that they decided to finally like lift the COVID, restrictions,
Yes.
they were still busy. I remember we just reported they were still busy building like one of the biggest one of these things.
Yes.
And then like the next day, they're like, "Oh, COVID restrictions are over." They hadn't even finished building the big one.
No. And people
Yeah.
were like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Remember, like, trying to quickly rush to, like, erase anything about COVID, like,
Yes,
all the
all the
things, wear a mask, all
signs,
that
yep,
stuff. And they're like, don't talk about it anymore.
Yep.
COVID's done. Don't talk about it anymore. And we're like, wait, what?
Exactly.
You just did zero COVID, like, weeks ago.
Yep.
Right, where you're locking people up in these things.
Correct.
Anyway, long story short, we do have a follow-up now of what happened to these tens
Yeah.
of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
of
but
these
you don't
capsules.
mind just taking in this sheer scale of what
Yes.
they did here. That's why we're
Yes.
going to leave this playing, because you may have seen like one little thing on the news, or you may have watched our show and we showed you like one or two of these, but this was happening around the entire country where they
Yes.
were literally bulldozing the earth, throwing down concrete slabs,
To put
putting up
people in
these
them.
temporary housing things, and then in some cities they were doing this where they would actually go and pretty much arrest people in their homes,
Yes.
force them onto buses.
These people were in for over 100 days
Yes.
inside of these.
Force them into these little capsules, separate children from parents. If you had pets at home, they would murder them. It was just a crazy time. And I don't know why people's memories are so short. Here's the follow-up, by the way. I don't know why their memories are so short, but it wasn't that long ago that people were being imprisoned.
No, I think people forget how
They
bad
forget.
that was.
You were being imprisoned, and it was against your will. Even if you weren't sick, you had to stay in your house. You had to stay in these capsules, whatever. Disgusting when it comes to freedom of movement and human freedom. It's literally like locking everybody up. Anyway, so now this is what's happening to them. They're being dismantled and sold for scrap. And these cost billions of RMB, And right now, they're being dismantled and sold as scrap. So what a huge waste. Thank you, China, for providing massive amounts of materials for landfills. Look how it's all overgrown and stuff, so now they're just tearing them down. Thank you for destroying the environment some more, adding so much pollution, producing all this wasteful crap and plastics and various other things that you had to first manufacture and use coal-burning power plants to make, then to abandon, to let seep into the earth, and now tear it all down and throw it into landfills. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, awesome. Good job. Leading the world in like green technology over here, Yeah, the only thing green is the color of the people's faces that have to breathe this crap in and deal with this stuff all the time. You know what I mean?
The fumes.
Yeah. So that's a follow-up on this. We thought we'd give you a little follow-up, and this is happening around the country now. They're starting to kind of they ignored them, right? They ignore, as you can see, look at the overgrowth and stuff. They're like, these things, let's kind of forget about that, And now it's like, oh, well, we may as well tear them down and, get scrap, prices for them.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And remember, we've shown you the whole shared bicycle wastage where they have mountains of millions of these bicycles that was just like a stupid cash grab thing, and then they couldn't use. Huge waste of resources. This, again, is a huge waste of resources. I think by now we know China's not responsible when it comes to the environment. Okay?
No.
So don't ever think it is.
No.
Yeah. All right, moving on. It's time for us to do... Well, it's time for us to talk about our Monday show. For those of you who don't know, we have this really fun show on Mondays, and this is what you missed if you weren't here. It's like sweeping leaves under the tree, but they're not doing anything, and then there's a guy pressure hosing propaganda posters into a tree. You look at that and you think, oh, it's a brick wall.
They drew the bricks.
They're fake bricks.
What you do is you flatten out the top so it's not going to hurt your mouth. And then you cut it sharp on the bottom so then it's able to pierce the boba cup.
It's just like, we got to get these packages out. All right, whatever. Get this crap out of here.
Classic Chabadol construction here. This is when you buy cheap things online in China. You get Chabadol. This is Chabadol charity.
This is Chabadol charity.
All chaos breaks loose, right? The bear's going insane. It's getting into a rage. Right?
Yes.
It wants to F up this peacock,
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't like the peacock.
Oops.
Yeah, so what was our topic?
That was 差不多 methods of life. So basically all the crazy things and solutions people do to get things done in China, like fixing methods. Very funny.
Yeah.
Episode prior was China's crazy policing methods. Episode prior to that was our tier list
For foreign
expats.
expats,
We
yeah.
rank them. Very fun.
Yeah.
There's another episode we did at one point. You guys will remember if you're the real ones.
Yeah.
And pause that for a second.
Okay, sure.
This is a nightmare.
Yeah, it is a nightmare.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The real hoes will remember this
So
episode.
we got a challenge. If you're still watching, if you still happen to
You're
be
the real
live,
ones.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. How about we do a little shout out in the chat? How about we all put the word egg
In the comments.
in the comment?
Yeah, leave a comment below. Type in egg, and that will prove that you guys lasted all the way an hour into the show.
Sure.
There are so many people that probably watch the beginning and they're like, whatever, this is too long. So the real people, the real fans, the real people out there right now, put egg down in the comments.
Yeah.
Write down egg, and then we'll know you're a real one.
Yep, absolutely. I
don't wanna remember.
Yeah, and if you're a Shabanho, you'll know all about that. Okay, worldview.
Where do you go to that?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Go to patreon.com/ADV podcasts and join the Shabanho tier if you have the means. We'd love to see you there. It's the best way to support us, and it's super fun every Monday.
I see that the chat's going wild with egg.
Yes.
Also, if you're not watching live, pop it in the comments.
Yes.
Write down egg.
Excellent.
And
Well,
everyone reading your comment will be like, what is this about? Because they're not a real one.
Correct. All right, guys, we got worldview.
Speaking of eggs, by the way.
yeah.
We do have eggs soundbite.
Oh, we do. Okay, sorry. Well, I'll do the egg soundbite after I tell everyone
Sure.
that we're going to talk about
don't
everything
have
in the world, specifically with regards to China. Okay, so,
That
that's
is a
not an
frog.
egg.
That
I'm
is a
sorry.
frog.
Here's the eggs.
There are the eggs.
Okay, now, China's being naughty again.
Yeah.
China made military drones similar to the MQ-9 Reaper, so in other words, knockoff of MQ-9 Reaper, were disguised as wind turbines in shipments to Libya. So Italian officials intercepted these crates, which were labeled wind turbines, being sent to Libya. Turns out they're military attack drones.
I want to say something about this, which I want us to tell you why this is important. Okay. So that at the port, they intercepted 6 containers that had wind power generators, right?
Yes,
Like you said.
wind turbines, yeah.
They're actually filled with the fuselages and wings for military drones. They acted on American intelligence to figure this out, by the way.
Good.
It says, it wrote that, the Times of London wrote that 3 containers were impounded on June 18th from the ship MSC Airing, and that the officials were expecting another 3 to arrive over the weekend at MSC Apolline. Per the outlet, the drones were Wing Lung. It was Lung.
Yeah, Lung.
I wanted to say this.
Yeah.
It's not Long, it's Lung.
Yeah, this time that's Lung. It's a very Lung drone.
UAVs bound for Benghazi so that they could be delivered to Libyan General Khalifa Haftar. The shipments included 2 control stations for the drones per the time. So why is this important, right? Because Libya is not like an enemy of the world, right?
Sure.
Haftar's faction, the Libyan National Army, is based in eastern Libya, attempted to overthrow the country's internationally recognized government in 2020.
Right.
So they're funding the fringe.
Yeah, the sort of terrorist or the...
Or whatever, the
you want to call it,
opposition, yeah.
separatists or... Yeah.
The use of the Wing Lung 2 was reported in Libya before the seizure. The United Nations found that in 2019, the drone was likely used by Haftar's forces in an attack on the suburbs of Tripoli. So this ain't the first time.
Yeah, so China's sending military drones over to be used on civilians.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, why is the world accepting this kind of deception and these bypassing of sanctions and this very clear outright criminality from the Chinese government? Because a military drone coming out of China is not going to be a private person sending it. It's part of the Chinese military industrial complex.
Right.
It's what they make. It's their military drones. They're not going to just send it off to anyone. They're going to send it off to their friends. They're going to send it off to people that they want to have it. So this is linked to the Chinese government, and they're deceiving the world.
The article says this has not yet been tied to the Chinese government, so we'll wait.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, in my what's it like? Educated guess.
Okay, educated guess. That's
Educated guess based on experience and truth.
I would draw this truth.
Yeah, which is that the Chinese government would not have allowed this to happen unless they wanted it to happen.
Yes.
You are not taking...
or
What?
they didn't know because the military is incredibly corrupt in China.
Well, yeah, okay. The military,
Incredibly.
sure, we know it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Chinese government's not going to be like, that's okay. Go ahead and
Yeah.
send like our military drones to a random country.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah.
They are so paranoid about their military secrets and about the everything to do with the military and about their army and stuff. They're not going to allow that unless they want it to happen.
yeah. Well, we'll see if there's a follow-up.
Yeah. So again, China behaving badly, being caught red-handed. I wonder how many other wind turbines they've sent around the world that happen to be like missiles or whoever knows what, right?
Yes.
Let's move on. Stupid wind turbine.
Just some interesting stats.
Okay.
So China reopened to foreign students. Americans are staying away. I thought this is interesting. Links down below. It should be at least. The amount of American students are less than 1,000. So
It's about 700 American students.
800, yeah.
In China.
800 American students in China right now, which is not very much. There are 290,000 Chinese students in America, right?
Yes.
It's just very interesting to see the balance, because this is supposed to be like people-to-people cooperation or whatever. And the amount of Americans that want to go to China versus the amount of Chinese students that want to come to America is just so crazy
it's
imbalanced.
it's never an exchange with China. It's always a one-way pipeline. It's like the benefit for Chinese students to come to America is far greater than the benefet for any American student to go to China.
To China, for sure.
Because they come to America and they will, learn the education system. They can
contribute back home.
It's all about taking technology and ideas and things back home. So it's all about improving China. And it's always been like that. You speak to any Chinese student that studies abroad who is being sent abroad, their whole thing is they want to go overseas so they can get their degree and then come back to China and then be...
If they go back.
Yeah. If they go back to China, they're taking their expertise back to China. And then they're going to have a better position than someone who studied in China.
Yeah, the idea is that if you a foreign degree, and especially in America or the UK, is worth more than a Chinese degree.
It's always been like that for
how it is.
decades and decades. And I mean, we see the amount of intellectual property theft and things that happen because of this kind of system. We see that there's a lot of infiltration. I'm not accusing students of being spies, by the way. I'm just saying that it happens to happen a lot. And there is no real, what would be the word here? Like remuneration, or it's not, what I'm saying is it's not an equal footing here.
I just thought the stats were interesting. It's
Yeah.
like, I think it's more about the appeal. I think there's no appeal to go to China.
Yeah, when I was growing up, the idea of an exchange student is that you send someone from your school to a XYZ country, and a student from that XYZ country comes to your school, and it's exchange. When it comes to these like foreign students, it's literally, there's no exchange going on. It's literally just China wants access to the world, and it's very difficult for people to go to China. You know what I mean?
Counter to that, though, China's trying to make it harder for Chinese students to go to America. And in a lot of cases, America does want Chinese students. Absolutely. Sure. I mean, it's good for the economy. There's a lot of research to be done. There's a lot of talented, intelligent people.
And we're not saying there isn't. Yeah.
It's interesting that their balance is so off.
It's just, how can it be that bad? 700 versus 280,000, 290,000. It's
wild.
like, at least, let's meet us in the middle here. Can we at least have at least 2,000 students in China? At least?
No, who
2,800, at least it would be a percentage with
it's just
cut off a few decimals or whatever.
It's just interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Anyway, let's move on.
Next, we have, in a rare rebuke, U.S. Ambassador, so this is Nicholas Burns, right? Accuses China of undermining diplomacy. Beijing has been stirring up anti-American sentiment and preventing people from attending embassy events, Nicholas Burns says in an interview.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. We're finally seeing the ambassador, well, he's actually been quite critical for a while, but the ambassador being very upfront about how bad China's behaving at a governmental level. Says, I've been concerned for my 2+ years here about the very aggressive Chinese government efforts to denigrate America, to tell a distorted story about American society, American history, American policy. It happens every day on all the networks available to the government here. There's a high degree of anti-Americanism online.
Yes.
And we're seeing that too.
Yeah, it's true. And it's something that's always frustrated the hell out of us when we're being told, when we were living in China, that foreigners are spies, American spies and things, and like report your foreign teacher. And then at the same time, they're trying to say like, oh, we're cooperating with the West and everything's great, Don't look down on China. We're awesome. Meanwhile, at the same time, they're pushing this xenophobic nonsense all the time. And it's good to see him calling it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
He's being very honest about it. I'm very happy about that. All right. So the next thing we have here is China warns against vicious cycle of decoupling from the West. Okay.
What do you think that actually means?
Don't decouple from us.
That's
Otherwise,
just all I
there'll
want,
be hell to pay. And meanwhile, in the back of his head, he's like, please don't decouple from us.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
It's pretty obvious what that nonsense is, yeah.
Just thought it would be a good translation for everyone. OpenAI apparently is pulling out of China, which is a cause of huge debate because it might cause a lot of Chinese startups to fall off the wayside and then actually make some of the more powerful Chinese startups consume them and get more powerful. Some people are saying, well, actually, this is going to prevent China from using OpenAI technology for nefarious purposes. So there's like two sides of the coin. Interesting article. You can check it out.
Yeah.
And I think last or second to last today is there's an interesting New Zealand documentary.
Okay.
Which came out, and it was for Stuff, I believe. Stuff,
Oh, yes.
Stuff Circuit Investigation reveals decades of foreign interference by China and New Zealand. It's nasty stuff.
So what is China's response? Because they're told, like, in this article that China's been doing a lot of interference in New Zealand for many years, which we all know is true, right?
Yes.
What is China's response? What would you do if you wanted to prove that you're not doing any foreign interference?
I probably wouldn't say anything.
You know what China said?
What?
They warned journalists not to investigate further. They hit back. They say, there's no foreign interference and you better not investigate further.
Don't figure it out.
Isn't that just...
Don't keep figuring it out.
Isn't that foreign interference?
Yeah.
Telling journalists in another
Don't
country
do it.
that they're not allowed
In
to
their own
investigate?
country.
Yes.
Yes.
Telling a journalist in their own country, don't investigate further. I'm
Don't
warning
do it.
you.
Don't do it.
Warning you.
How do you get away with that?
And how is that not foreign interference? That is literally the definition.
Yes. The Embassy of China set out against Stuff's circuit for its investigation into foreign interference. The embassy warned that New Zealand's interests could be harmed if the narrative of foreign interference continued. Is that not a threat?
That's a threat.
That's foreign interference.
That is foreign interference.
A Stuff spokesperson said the news company stood by its reporting because it's probably not. It's probably real.
It is real.
It's investigation.
100% real. Yeah. Anyway, just a little bit of a look into the mindset of the Chinese government. As usual, just a bunch of bellends, really.
Of course. This was shocking and unbelievable.
Oh, yes.
So students at two Hong Kong schools
Yes, schools.
not singing China's national anthem loudly enough. So remember, Hong Kong, up until very recently, didn't have to deal with this national security.
Yeah, they had their
crap.
own national
Yes.
anthem, not the Chinese national anthem.
Yeah, well, they could do whatever they want.
They could do both.
But China now says you have to sing China's national anthem, and they go and send inspectors around. Imagine being so insecure that you go to one of your extra territories and make sure that all those schools are singing the Chinese national anthem.
And not just singing it has to be loud enough.
It has to be loud enough, right? Mm-hmm. It says teachers were advised to give reminders and help students develop a habit of singing the national anthem loudly, according to a report based on inspections conducted at a secondary school in Sunwan. But my favorite part is the next slide.
Yes. Okay. You want to know why?
You have to brace
Do you want to
yourself.
know why the students weren't singing very loudly? Do you want to know why?
You ready
We'll
for
tell
this,
you
guys? Caritas Resurrection School, a special needs school for children with moderate intellectual disabilities, was said to be lagging behind in implementing national security education.
So they were singing softly because they're
moderate intellectually disabled
they're
people.
special needs, intellectually disabled children.
Yes.
And that's why they were singing softer.
Yes.
Because they probably can't even say words properly.
Right. Because they have moderate intellectual
They have
disability.
intellectual disabilities.
Yes.
And that's what they're complaining about.
I mean,
Are
this
they
is like
for real?
this is the government we're dealing with here.
Are they for real, though?
They're for real. They are sending investigators in
To
China's
special needs schools.
to special needs school and say you're not loud enough. You're lagging behind.
Yes.
Don't do this again.
Yes, you're not singing the national anthem loudly enough. Oh, wow. Stupid idiots. It's just no... Yeah, they're just idiots.
My favorite part about this is that there was no repeal.
Yes.
There wasn't like, this is like, imagine this. Like, I'm an inspector. I go, they're not loud enough. And I look around and I go, wait a minute, I think these people are intellectually disabled. That's probably why they can't do it. They didn't go, oh, we're so sorry. We'll check a different school. You guys, carry on. We apologize. No, it was just reported that they were bad.
Yeah, reported. Had the school name and everything.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
No, you're bad.
Yeah.
You're lagging behind national security education. You're bad.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow. Anyway, that's the Chinese government for you.
Yeah.
Now it's time for our Q&A section, which is called Yamcha, where we answer your questions and you question our answers. It's Friday, everybody. Please loosen your ties if you have them. Please grab a cold beverage if you have one, or a hot one if you prefer. And hit us up with some super chats. If you're not watching now live or on the weekend, we do cut this out on Monday. So if you're one of those people who's watching on Monday and beyond, stay awesome. We'll catch you next time. But for everyone else, let's get stuck in.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much